the biggest games of the year is out today. Certainly a massive game if you're an Xbox One owner, and one of the big exclusives coming out this year. Halo 5 Guardians out finally today. By the sounds of it, Mike, a lot of people are playing it online right now.
Yeah, there were a bunch of people. I was playing throughout the day. I mean, we had pre-release playlists.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit to get into Warzone and arena matches, but today it was, I don't think I waited longer than 10 seconds to get in.
Cool.
There's a lot of people playing.
Your review is going live at 3 o'clock in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to give away the score here, though,
Yeah.
live. But before we do that, talk to me a little bit about the idea of the provisional review. Obviously, there was a provisional review up on GameSpot on Sunday without a score, without final thoughts. What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, so a lot of times with multiplayer shooters or just any kind of multiplayer game that's going to be based around a lot of servers, we didn't want to do a disservice to readers by publishing a score and everything and having opinions on it, because I could have had the best time ever in multiplayer, but if it doesn't work for a week or two after launch, then what's the point? You can't get in. So we wanted to make sure, I provided some thoughts and everything, but we wanted to keep it brief. My review, the actual review is much more in-depth, of course. So we just wanted to make sure the servers were up, because the embargo was a day before release.
Right, yeah.
So not the entire public. So like Australia, and New Zealand had the game before US and Europe and everything, so we want to make sure once the servers are at their peak that they're working.
Make it's all working. Especially I remember this time last year having conversations with Chris Waters, who ended up belaying the Master Chief Collection review. I think we didn't score that game for 2 weeks until it came out.
Yep.
All right, put us out of our misery. Halo 5 Guardians. Mike Mahardy, what did you give it?
Gave it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yep.
All right, we talked to you about it last week with the campaign stuff a little bit. Obviously, you're a massive Halo fan.
Very big.
You've played every single game. What is it you like about the multiplayer? What is it that sort of, because I know the campaign stuff we'll get to in a little bit, you weren't super hot on,
Sure.
But the multiplayer stuff, what is it about that really sold it to you?
Sure, so in my opinion, this is the best Halo multiplayer has ever been.
Oh, really?
You know, like Halo 2 sparked Xbox Live. I don't think it'd be where it is now if it weren't for Halo 2. And I played, cat and mouse on Blood Gulch back in the day in Halo 2 all the time. SWAT when they first started bringing it out. Played a lot of Halo 3 multiplayer. 4 was actually, I think I share the sentiment of a lot of people. 4 was my least favorite. Okay. I think 343 had a good effort with multiplayer. I like their campaign in 4 for the most part. But they introduced the Call of Duty kind of progression where you get experience and then build your loadouts. Where there is a new progression in Halo 5, but in Arena, like the classic just Team Slayer, Capture the Flag, SWAT playlists, it's classic Halo. The power weapons are scattered throughout the map. You're starting with assault rifle pistol in most modes, and everybody's starting on equal playing field.
I kind of prefer that. Well, at least, it's weird that that's fresh, considering that's kind of the way Halo always was. But it is fresh because everyone else is stuck in.
It's like GoldenEye 2 or something. It's like just a classic shooter kind of feel. And
map control.
Yeah, and they'll tell you their spawn timers for the the power weapons, the rocket launcher, the sniper rifle, the plasma caster, which is new. And I really like that because both teams will see like this 11, 10, 9. So you're like, all right, we're going for that, but shit, so are they.
It's interesting, like even old arena shooters that are coming back, Unreal Tournament does the exact same thing. It actually shows you how much is left.
Oh yeah, it creates these awesome clash points where everybody's just fighting over the rocket launcher. And then of course someone gets it and blows up half their team on accident, which has happened to me. But yeah, it feels awesome. Because Arena is great, but one of my favorite parts about Halo 5 and just something I think is really fresh for the shooter genre in general is Warzone, the new mode. And it's very MOBA inspired. And I'm not a big MOBA player, but I see their merit and I understand why people follow them so closely. It's just this great blend of PvE and PvP combat. So this replaces big team battle playlists, which a lot of people were kind of pissed about at first, but once I played Warzone, it erased any doubts I had.
Really?
So you do have a progression system, but you'll start off, there are 3 capture points. And then both teams have a core, so kind of the fortress in MOBAs.
Okay.
You can take these capture points, and those let you spawn across the map in more places. You get these rec consoles to call in power weapons, vehicles. But you can also shoot AI, like right here, there's Prometheans guarding this.
Oh, so it's like in Titanfall or something, it's like the
minions or creeps, I guess.
Creep, yeah.
And you kill those, and they contribute. You can see at the bottom here, there's a energy meter. That's your currency pretty much throughout the match. It builds up to, I think, a maximum of 9, which I've never hit.
How many humans are on either team?
It is a minimum of 9 versus 9, but it can be up to 12 versus 12.
Okay, excellent.
And there's raid, which is just capturing. There's assault, which is just capturing the 3 neutral zones and then destroying the core. But the classic Warzone raid is my favorite because it's not just killing other human or AI and taking capture points. every once in a while, a boss will spawn.
Oh, wow.
With an AI boss, whether it's a regular boss, which is worth 25 points, or a legendary boss, which obviously, as the name implies, they take more to kill, but they're worth 150 points, and both teams are just pretty much racing to 1,000 points.
Okay, so and these bosses aren't affiliated with one or the other teams?
They're neutral.
Okay.
So that's also kind of like the power weapons we were just talking about. There'll be a legendary boss, and it's just like a MOBA where the team that gets the last hit to drain the health bar gets it.
You're kidding me.
So today,
that's awful.
Yeah, so Tay came over my desk today and we were watching, and there was a legendary boss, and I had a railgun, which is a really powerful weapon, and I was just crouching so they couldn't see me on the motion sensor.
You're just waiting?
I was waiting. 3 guys were shooting at him, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, and I killed him with a railgun, and I know that they were all pissed and swearing and everything.
Brilliant.
They killed me right after, but I got 150 points. They got 1 from killing me.
Oh, that's excellent.
And so that's the great thing about Warzone. Like I was down today like 700 points to 300, and in most cases you're screwed.
Yeah.
But then we got a legendary kill. We captured a few more points to start getting more spawns. We all started spawning scorpion tanks, and we still lost, but only by like 60 points.
Oh, wow.
Which is 60 kills or 2 legendary kills.
One of the sort of, I guess, linchpins of the Halo franchise has always been the fact that this was a first-person shooter which really integrated vehicles into its combat incredibly well. Like even the first game, there are some levels that we still remember today. So what's it like in Warzone with the vehicles? Do they feel like they're just power-ups in it, or do they feel like they're like a tactical aspect to the gameplay as well?
Very much tactical aspect. You can either spend the energy at the bottom, those 5 green. This looks like whoever gameplay this is. I think this might be Rob's. Whoever. You spend those on power weapons, power-ups like overshields or like camouflage. But you can also get vehicles, and then that's where it comes in, because you can get a Scorpion that'll help you take out a legendary boss, but then someone on the other team could just easily call in a rocket launcher if they have rocket launcher cards to burn through and take you out. So it's very balanced. Like despite the fact that you can call in a Scorpion tank, there's always just these like checks and balances in the requisition system, which is that's the progression system, which you could talk about that for a while too, but it's very balanced, but at the same time, vehicles, can turn the tide of a battle just as easily as killing a legendary boss.
Excellent. We'll talk about the campaign in a second, but first of all, another aspect that we didn't really get to talk about much last week was co-op. How does that work? How many people can play, and what's it like?
So you can play up to 4 people. People got kind of upset when they heard you can't play split screen co-op, which I agree with. I love that. But playing 4-player co-op in the campaign, it runs very smoothly, and I think they focused a lot on making the online experience smooth, and the result is really smooth. The campaign is pretty much structured like people who played Halo 2 will feel a little familiar with it. You bounce between the Master Chief and the Arbiter, the Elite.
Of course.
This is sort of the same thing, except you're bouncing between Team Osiris, which is a bunch of Spartan 4s, led by Agent Jameson Locke, who was introduced in Nightfall. It's canonical, but it's not in the games. And then you have Blue Team, which is Master Chief and 3 of his Spartan 2s who were in the books that I used to read. But in each of the Spartans has their own separate loadouts. So Fred will start with a DMR and a pistol. Chief will start with an assault rifle and pistol, like the classic one. Locke has a battle rifle. But they all have like certain character traits that kind of contribute to how they don't really play differently, but like Kelly can run a little faster, Fred can take a little more damage, Chief's shields recharge a little faster. This is Rob about to punt this grunt for the Halo veterans will remember the grunt birthday party skull. When you turn it on, it's just anytime you get a grunt headshot, they pop into confetti, and there's these kids
of course. Yeah.
And that's how you get it. You punt that grunt off the side. So this is Jake, Rob, Eric, and I playing 4-player.
And is it more fun, do you think, playing co-op than it is
Oh,
solo?
absolutely.
Yeah.
For a few reasons, because there are a lot of branching. The new level design of the campaign, which gameplay-wise, the campaign is awesome. I love it. You can kind of see there are these wide open areas. They're more like these arenas or sandboxes than these linear pathways.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of apprehensive about because I liked the linearity of Halo. It felt like they were funneling me through certain areas and kind of designing it to be a certain way. But you can replay these a second time, and it'll be very different because you'll crash through this wall and you'll find like ghosts or vehicles that you didn't know about before. Or there's a mission early on, like the 3rd mission or something, when Rob played it and he didn't know that you could turn on these auto turrets that help you, like 6 of these huge Gatling turrets. And I like stumbled on it, and then I played it completely differently, and I let those do the work. But co-op, you can kind of split up and say, you take the fuel rod cannon, you take the Scorpion, I'm going to get in this Phaeton and cover you guys from the air. It's really fun, and it also negates the AI, which ranges from remarkably good to abysmal,
Okay, yeah.
which is, you know, it's...
It's kind of always been the Halo way as well, right?
Yeah, I mentioned that in my review that it's inconsistent AI.
Yeah.
So if you get down, this is the first Halo in the campaign where you just get down and can get revived. And if you're playing single player or 2-player or 3 is always interesting because you have that one AI who everybody's just really worried about.
Yeah.
Or if you're playing with Eric Tay, everybody's worried about him. No, I'm just kidding. Tay's good at Halo. You'll be playing and then you'll say, hey, come get me. And then instead of 2, like in co-op, you can say, you 2 keep shooting, cover us, I'll go get him.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in AI, you know, they'll be like, she runs up to you, gets killed, then you'll call for help again. It's a train of like suicide.
It's that old Gears of War 1 problem.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe, you know, pre-Half-Life co-op stuff where the AI kind of doesn't make it as fun an experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, much more fun played co-op then.
Absolutely.
Sounds like.
It's very fun to play co-op.
It sounds like you're talking about a game that is, you know, to not use the old reviewer's adage, fans of the series will definitely get behind Halo 5. But what was it about the game, even as a fan of the series yourself, that stopped it from crawling up towards the wonderful reaches of 9s and 10s?
Sure. So aside from the AI, which I mentioned as a negative in my review because it can get pretty cloying at times, the story, which Halo 4, for as boring as I thought the campaign was, the gameplay, the story I actually really liked. They focus more on characterization with the Chief and Cortana because Cortana is like his only friend. And really, like aside from these 3 Spartans, but these 3 are like, you know, teammates more than friends, I guess.
Colleagues.
Yeah, colleagues.
Rather than social friends.
Partners and PICs.
Yeah.
But
partners in Combat Evolved.
Exactly. Pisces. And 5 reversed that, and I love the campaign and the gameplay, and it feels so great, especially the new Spartan maneuvers, which we could talk about if you want. But the story is bad. The plot is very disjointed and broken. There are a bunch of cutscenes between missions that they fade to black before. I actually, 3 times throughout the campaign, the first time I played it, like 3 times I remember counting, I thought I accidentally skipped a cutscene by like moving the controller or pressing start or something, which was disappointing because I love the story of Halo. I read all the. I'm a Halo geek. I read all the outside books.
And
Halo: Fall of Reach is like one of my favorite sci-fi books. But these cutscenes just end. They'll devote, and they waste their time with them too. Or they'll devote 30 seconds to this AI just ranting about something really inconsequential instead of telling you why you're going to this planet that you're on. So the missions lose a lot of impact because I don't know what's going on, which, you know, like, it sounds negligible, but if they tell a good story surrounding the missions, they can add a lot of momentum and impact to these missions that you're playing.
Which is something that's happened in, like, at least the first 3 Halo games, which felt like, you know, you're right, people will say that that's sort of like a flippant aspect to it, but the parts in the old Halo games that had bad parts, stories, people still remember as being irritating. So for that to be continuous throughout the campaign, obviously it wears on you a bit. Yeah,
and I still remember when they first introduced the Flood in Halo 1. It was that moment where you go into that room and you see all these dead Marines, but then you watch the recording of that same room you're in from like a few hours before, and you see the Flood attack, and then you cut back to the real time and you're like, holy shit, that's this room. That's an awesome way to tell a story because you're still in the story, but it's not, you know, it's showing and not telling. In this game, they try a bunch of things. Yeah, and they just don't, the cutscenes don't provide any context for what you're doing. And also, any story that's told in the game, there's a lot of audio logs you can pick up, which I appreciate that it adds to the backstory, but it's the gameplay of the campaign is so, you know, momentous, and it keeps pushing you forward, but those slow it down. And also, you have to stand near them the first time you get them to actually hear them.
Oh, right.
And you can go back and review them in the main menu, but you have to stand next to them and you just wait around to listen to them. And then also, there'll be a lot of actual the main narrative, like the audio logs from the Warden, this character that comes into it, just other teammates will play over that, so you can't really hear not only what you just found, but also what is being told to you that should be essential to the plot.
Right.
And then there are also a few of these missions that are combat-free, and I say they're missions because if you go to the menu, it says there's 15, I think, but really there's 12 missions because these other 3 are these kind of like RPG-ish towns.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, which at first I was very confused. It was the first time I've ever played a Halo mission without shooting anything. Yeah. Which makes me sound like a bro.
Originally it was an RPG. It was a strategy game, actually.
Yeah, right. And you go around these towns talking to these people, and their dialogue's well written, but it slowed it down. I just don't think it fits in this game at all. And they really
and it happens 3 times.
Yeah, one is the same area, just coming back through it to talk to Catherine Halsey. And there is backstory. I think it just could have been told in cutscenes, but these cutscenes are tough to make. They look awesome. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's no small deal to make them. But it
So
just,
some irksome, the campaign story stuff wasn't super fun. The co-op having, I guess, some rough around the edges AI, and then of course these weird little RPG. But apart from the campaign stuff, multiplayer.
Multiplayer's
sounds
awesome.
spectacular.
And the campaign, like, don't let me deter you from playing it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because the Spartan abilities, you can ground pound, you can smash, you can, people can split up. There's one mission where there's 2 people in the Phaetons, the ship's covering the 2 on the ground, which we have a video of it. That video we were showing of Rob, Eric, Jake, and I, that's that mission. They're all really fun.
Do those Spartan moves transfer over to the multiplayer?
Yeah. And they're not essential to being great, but if you want to get good at Halo, there's people that are already using them really well.
Actually, I saw Rob killing, I think, 2 people with one of the ground stomp things.
It's tough to pull off because you have to charge it up, but then you have the running sprint smash now, and then you have the dash, which is just this quick jetpack, like a modern Advanced Warfare, kind of. And I was kind of apprehensive about that too, but like someone will be shooting me, I'll just dart around a corner, or get away from a grenade, or even someone with an energy sword. Like I'm rattling these off because there's so many new, it opens up so many new options, and I'm not used to them, but the more I play them, the more I'm kind of super on board with all of them.
Yeah, and the Halo games always, have a lot of options in terms of gameplay. So I guess last thing to talk about, campaign, multiplayer, we've talked about it all. Forge is coming later this year?
December, last I heard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not at release now. They've been showing a lot of cool things too. I've created stuff back when you used to play Griffball.
Okay.
I forget what it's called. It was kind of like Rocket League, but with gravity hammers instead of driving cars. I remember when I first played Rocket League, I'm like, this reminds me of that. And I did create maps. I never use it too much, but there's always a wealth of options there. I'm sure once that comes out, there will be more maps in the arena playlist of people like sometimes Bungie used to promote them. 343, I'm sure, might do the same thing. Like really good user-created maps, they'll put them into playlists throughout each week. And feature users, which I'm looking forward to that because there are some very smart people out there making maps.
For sure, that little 5% of creators that make everything else for the rest of us.
Thank God for them.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike, for coming on, telling us all about Halo.
Yeah.
5 Guardians. We're gonna